Everybody, this is Alex, healthhacksreview.com. This is a review video on a Class 3 device that isn't heavily advertised, but actually has a lot of brand recognition that it's come by in a very short period of time. Avant Wellness Systems is the company, or the manufacturer, if you want to call it that. And the model name is LZ30, and they also have an LZ30X. So, just came out a few years ago, and definitely has an FDA clearance on it, of course, but with hardly any advertising, again, because that wasn't done until the FDA clearance was achieved, they have a lot of brand recognition. A lot of practitioners love them, a lot of home users. And the reason is simple. When we look at the Class 3 category, and Class 2 and Class 1, mostly what you'll find is lasers that use very old technology. Just in general, been very few lasers that have come out in the last 15 years, the last 10 years, okay? And because of that, this is one of the newer devices to the market. And that's a good thing because it's kind of a long time coming to get another good option out there that had a better cost per watt, had better features, functionality, more power, in your hand. And so, like some of the other Class 3s out there, it is portable, so it's cordless, which is great. You can get a full, 8 hours of treatment time out of it on a charge. Battery technology is pretty much the best out of any other device out there because, again, it's a newer device, so they're using some of the best battery technology. If we just look at just the laser itself and some of the functions and features, you have that digital display on the side, which you can scroll through into different conditions that then give you the treatment protocol right then and there. So it's just very easy to use. No other system has that of a Class 3 down Class 1. It has that kind of digital, just quick protocol to scroll through the presets, programmable presets. Other device doesn't really have it, again, in the same categories where you can program your own in there. That's nice too if you're seeing like a particular patient or an individual, or heck yourself, you found a protocol you really liked, you want to program that in there, works well. You can just scroll through it and you'll find it, pick it out. Great little feature to have, I think. And you can also then upload and download with a USB. So you can really swap a lot of information with other practitioners who might be doing laser therapy that way. It's pretty cool. So in addition to that, there's basic modes, there's advanced modes where you can use all sorts of different multi-flash frequencies. It's very sophisticated if you want to go that direction with it. If you just want to stick with the normal continuous wave mode, simple mode, you got that option as well. So again, there's just a lot of things you can do with the device. And when we talk about now cost per watt, it's the most competitive of any Class 3, Class 2, or Class 1 in terms of cost per watt. Really fantastic value. Now you have 900 milliwatts of infrared on both models. The only difference between these two models, LZ30X and the LZ30, is the red wavelength portion. So it actually has two different diode sets. You have that infrared and you have the red wavelength. There's really only a few devices out there that offer both wavelengths, which both have efficacy actually. So if you see other Class 3 companies or 2s or 1s that are saying, hey, you don't need that other, wavelength, or they don't even mention it, just realize that there's absolutely efficacy for red wavelength, for more immunological, systemic, nervous system, things like that, acupuncture points, things like that, hair growth. And then infrared is, there's a huge slew of things that it's good for if we look at all the studies. So really both of them are used in a lot of lasers individually, but very few put them together. So this does have both together, which is nice. The difference between the models, as I was finishing my point, was that the red wavelength power on the LZ30X is almost 4 times stronger. Okay, so we consider that more the commercial model, if you will, like where it'll be useful if you're not seeing a patient or person that often to have a little bit more red wavelength that you can kind of squeeze in there in that session, basically. If you're getting it for home use laser, you can be fine with the LZ30X and just use that 50 milliwatts of red, 190 milliwatts for the LZ30X of red. Both of them have the same infrared, okay, at 900 milliwatts. And so this device also, a very unique thing about it is there was some really good thought put into the end piece, the end of where the diodes are. And if you look at the diagram, the picture, you'll see like at the end, like an inch, this little aperture hood, if you will. It's like a separate little metal piece and about an inch in thickness from the side angle. So if you look, I really need to get a picture like this, but if you look a little bit more like the interior of the end of that hood piece, you'll see that the diodes aren't necessarily like right flush up against like an ML830, right? Where the diodes are like right there, you know, flush up against the rest of the piece, and the diodes are being pushed directly on the skin. There's actually just a little bit of room with that aperture, and that was done specifically to get better efficacy based on looking at studies that had come out and research and other engineering since, for example, the ML830 came out, which was many, 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 many years ago, right? So we've learned a lot since then. So again, that's why I always say, why get an old laser? Why get an old computer, right? So that aperture, why is that a good thing? Why is it good that the diodes aren't like right there, right? They're just back just a tiny bit. Because the aperture is just a thin piece of like little metal, and when you push it into the body, it actually is able to push out a larger area of blood, to push it out of the way, and to push it out of the area of the beam. And so then basically you can also slide it if you want over an area more easily. And the goal is to be pushing blood out of the way, because that's the whole point. Well, one of the quote-unquote advantages, let's just say, that, you know, class 3 companies love to talk about, or low-level companies, is that you can actually, and you're usually trained this the way as well, is you really actually, with low-level lasers, or lower, not class 4 per se, you want to push them into the body to get deeper penetration, okay? But blood is well known to absorb and refract a lot of the wavelengths, okay, a lot of the laser. So if you can push some of that blood out of the way, then that's ideal. Okay, so that's why the aperture was designed that way. And that aperture hood actually makes it perfect for animal usage as well. So I have a lot of people that work with animals use this laser because it's also very robust. They've done cement drop tests, waist high, no problem. So when you're out in the field, out and about, you bang it, doesn't matter. It's very, very well robustly designed, very strong, okay? But for animal usage, you know, you have a lot of times fur, right, or hair in the way. So because of the way that aperture is shaped, you can kind of wiggle it in there and push a lot of hair out of the way. And because you're then pushing hair out of the way a little bit, you don't have then as much the laser refracting off the hair. So it's helpful with that. You also don't have any dirt. It's less likely to have dirt, grime, hair, you know, rubbing on the diodes or on the lens or getting in the way. If there's a little bit of that aperture in the end, it can push some of that stuff out of the way. Again, like with an ML830, you know, you'd have these diodes like right on the surface of animal or you know, human, whatever you're treating. So again, this laser is really good for animal uses as well. What else can I tell you about this device? If you really want to see like an apples to apples comparison about, okay, this brand versus, you know, these other 10 brands of class 1 through 3 devices, I have all that information. I've laid it out, I've analyzed it, and I'd be happy to send that information to you in the form of a document. It's very easy when you really just look at everything side by side. You look at the specs, look what you're really paying for, and not just the features, you know, but real specifications that have to do with the efficacy, right? Then it's very easy to see that, okay, this is why this laser is kind of becoming the most popular choice for a lower level or a class 3 laser. If you have any more questions about this brand, if it's going to be right for you or your practice or your particular usage, please send me a message, send me an appointment time, or you can also just try giving me a call, seeing if you can reach me that way. Thanks for watching.